Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 7. My name is Az, and I am joined by Mr. Andy Mode, who had a bit of a nightmare on the Scoutcast last night with sound not working. But you're with the professional now, you're in good hands, so everyone can hear you, I assume, and everything's fine.
Yes, no,
that sent a shiver of fear down me, even though I knew it was bollocks.
Do you know what? I don't know what it is about OBS, which is the program we use to run the streams. As soon as I change one little thing on OBS, it knocks out all the sound for everybody else, and it is the most temperamental thing in the world. But now I know exactly what to do, and it takes me like 30 seconds to get it back up together again. So, yeah, fingers crossed it's fine tonight.
I can relate. I know BlackBox has had a history of technical issues over the years, but it is a tricky bloody program, OBS. It just... Yeah. You've got all your settings that are fine week after week, and then the one week you don't check something is the one week it decides to default your speakers or default your mic or something like that. So I get it.
And you've got no idea until you press go live sometimes either. So until it actually happens, and then you go on and it's like, I'm going to introduce the stream, see how it all goes, and then you go over to one of your co-hosts, and no one can hear them, and you don't realise for a couple of seconds either. But there you go, it happens.
I know. It happens. We're a little bit late because Yelena's dog has come into the room and caused carnage. He has chewed the head off of Kratos from God of War, as you can see. He's also chewed his leg off as well. And you said it right. Of all the little characters you don't want to piss off, Kratos has got to be number one. So you better watch your back, Ralph.
It's bad timing as well, because I've just seen that they've just gone up to about 500 quid each if you were trying to sell them. So bad timing.
Kratos, only 100 were made, and this is like the rarest one. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, typical. Hi to everyone in the chat. Good to see you all. Thank you for tuning in ahead of the Champions League. I'm a little bit ropey today. I haven't been feeling great today. I think I've got a cold brewing, so I mean, you might have to carry us a bit, Andy, but. Oof. Yeah, I know. It's never a
If it's man flu, I'm surprised you're here, mate. You are a proper soldier, so fair play to you.
Thank you. Yeah. We just don't get the respect we deserve. FPL Rank Chase from the chat. Good evening, Asmeister and Andy North. Joe Bob says, I'm this close to Wildcarding too. The button is pressed for me. Obviously, you played it last week. I will be playing mine. And obviously see the differences. There are some differences. So it'll be interesting to see how the season develops. FPL Stanza, that's the attitude we need. Woohoo, BlackBox. Sam H, adding a bit of culture to proceedings with a little bonjour. Very nice. Daniel Banks, evening all. Adam Gordon bandwagon. Yes, we'll talk about him. 2 goals from tonight. Yep.
2 penalties.
2 penalties. We were wondering if he was definitely going to be on pens. We all assumed he would be, but we've had that confirmed tonight. And speaking of Gordon lovers, FPL Nightmares in the chat after his rogue captaincy. I wonder if we can tempt him back to an Anthony Gordon shout. But yeah, it's all good to see you. I guess we should start with Game Week 7, Andy, because for once we both had a good week. Let's start with you.
Green arrows. Yeah, I wildcarded. So I had 3 free transfers. I looked at it. I looked at it before I rolled into 3 free transfers and thought, you know what, it'd be quite nice to get to a point where I could wildcard with 3 free transfers, knowing I would keep them going into next week. And obviously the big thing was I wanted Haaland. I could have got to Haaland with 3 free transfers. It would have meant getting Semenyo in for Salah, would have meant getting Haaland in for Watkins. Obviously Watkins scored. Sod's law that Watkins scored, did. And Rodgers got an assist as well.
Wow!
But at 60,
well, did he? Did he?
he got yeah. I looked at it, 63 points this week, which actually is lower than a lot of the template wildcard scores that we saw, and that's probably because of a few of the decisions I made, basically. So I had Raya in goal with 2, Gabriel with 13, Gabriel getting that goal very late on in the game, but he did absolutely smash it for DEFCON in that game. Like, I think it was 17 or 18 DEFCON he got, which is absolutely ridiculous. Van der Ven got 2. Van der Ven got 2 and Tarkowski got 1. I benched Senesi and I benched Mukiele because I genuinely thought Van der Ven and Tarkowski were almost nailed on clean sheets.
Yeah.
I thought Senesi, they would struggle against Leeds. I always quite like Leeds at home, and I did think they concede. They did, but he got an assist and got DEFCON. I can't keep up with these DEFCON players when they're getting assists as well. Had Semenyo for a goal, which was lovely. Bruno Fernandes -1. I mean, I should have seen it coming because you brought him in this week. So I'm fuming that he missed a penalty. He was 1 away from getting DEFCON as well. The only thing I can say about owning Bruno for his -1 that was some kind of silver lining was that at least I'm not FPL General who captained him. That would have been absolutely awful.
We're going to talk about him in a bit.
Yeah, good. Then I had Reinders, I had Xavi Simons who got 1 point. Really disappointed there. I know he started on the left, but he did play a lot in the 10, and to get 1 point from him was disappointing. Pedro and Gyökeres both got 2 points, and then Haaland with 32 as captain. Senesi and Mukiele both with 6 and 7 on the bench respectively. So 63 points, wildcard, 3 free transfers, looking to bench boost in game week 8, looking to roll this week as well. I think I'm quite happy with the position I'm in at the moment, basically. Oh, and a 1.5 million green arrow.
Yeah, I mean, it was a funny week, wasn't it? Because it didn't matter what chip you used. If you used a chip, you probably did all right this week. Yeah. Luke did all right in his free hit. Triple captain obviously went well, which we'll talk about in a minute. Wildcarders all did well. I will say, though, I know Haaland's late flurry in the 90th minute was a bit jammy for triple captains.
Oh, what was that, sorry?
It was a bit jammy. I'd given up. I had given up. When 90 minutes rolled in, I thought, oh, that's a 5-point triple captain. And I had no other points, my other players. And I was pretty miserable, Andy, I'm not going to lie. But in the end, it was okay. But
having listened to you talking about Bruno Fernandes and Salah captainers being so lucky in the last couple of weeks because of last-minute penalties, and then watching your triple captain Haaland getting 2 goals after 90 minutes, you were in the group chat with me and Luke. I'm back. This is why I'm an FPL god. Disgusting. Disgusting.
I would like to put on record that I did not say I'm an FPL god.
I've got receipts.
Not yet, anyway. I'm sure it's coming. But you've got to admit the Gabriel goal, because I mean it was a bit of a disaster for wildcarders versus free hitters and against triple captains until that Gabriel goal, right? Because that really restored the parity between the two chip users.
Oh, big time. The only thing I'd say was I did feel a little bit hard done by that Gyökeres or Saka didn't get a penalty.
Yeah.
Because I even now, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that argue about this, there seems to be a real 50-50 as to whether it was a penalty. I still think it was a penalty. Like, the ball was just like trickling past them, and I feel like Gyökeres still could have got there, and regardless of whether Pope got a touch to it. But obviously, it took them a very, very long time to come up to that same, the conclusion that it wasn't a penalty. So, yeah, it would have been good to have known who was on penalties, whether it was Saka or Gyökeres. But Gabriel, handballed it, probably should have been said. There was so much going on in that game. But to get a 13-pointer from him with all those DEFCONs as well, yeah, you'd be pretty happy with that. I think he was the difference between wildcard being a little bit of a one week failure compared to quite a nice week.
Well, I'd go as far to say that if you hadn't got the Gabriel points, I think you would have been cursing and wishing you'd waited a week to use it, even with the price rises, right? Because it would have been
you say
15,
that price
15
rises,
16 points.
But price rises as well. The amount of people that went down and the amount of people went up, it was a good 1 million difference. So if I hadn't have wildcarded, or I had have waited till Saturday morning to pull the plug on getting Haaland, getting Semenyo in, the difference in prices, it has been crazy.
Okay, so overall you're happy?
Yeah. I'm happy-ish, I would say. Well, you can't judge a wild card on 1 week.
No. Okay. And you've got 14 of the same players as all the other wildcarders, so you're probably going to do all right.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Template FC. Awful.
There was a small pool of players to choose from.
Yeah. Xavi Simons has saved you. If you didn't have him, I'd be livid.
I'm Mukiele, my boy.
We're not counting the bench players there. Come on, they don't count. I mean, I did say 15, but no, it doesn't count. This was my team. I held off on the wild card to give my Forest players one more week, and they all blanked for the 6th game in a row, which was fantastic. Sells in goal. Pedro didn't even turn up. He was given the day off. We suspected that might happen, but I was still hopeful. Didn't actually matter in the end anyway because they conceded. Munoz could have scored. Maybe should have scored. Didn't score. Really disappointing. Milenkovic been absolutely dreadful. Bought in Bruno Fernandes so I could get rid of Watkins. Could have just done Gui up to Haaland and kept Watkins. Shame. Kept Wirtz for another week. blanked, awful pick. He's been Semenya with 7, Gibbs White with 1, benched. Just absolutely obscene. Reinders with 2, Pedro with 2, and the only saving grace for this team was the fact that Haaland's got those goals, because if he hadn't, I would be looking at another monstrous red arrow, and it would be the curtains for my FPL season, I think. So thank you, Erling Haaland. You literally saved me. As we go, look at bloody Rodon, benched, 7 points. Play him last week, Reinders scores. Don't play him this week, 7 points. Oh, it's a funny old game, isn't it?
Do you feel like this week, with having triple captain Haaland, that it is completely kind of plastered over the fact that your team, it dreadfully needs a wild card?
Yes. Of course it has. Of course. It's disappointing because obviously a lot of people wildcarded this week. And if you looked at my team on paper, it looked all right. I mean, Milenkovic, Gibbs White and Sells, they've played West Ham at home, they've played Burnley away, and they've played Sunderland at home. You would expect something from one of those 3 players against one of those 3 sides, right? I'm not completely mental. And for them to all blank in all 3 of those games, it was a complete shit show. There's no other way to describe it. And it was the most satisfying wildcard button I've ever pressed in my life doing it this week, because I wanted to give them that one more week. In the end, it's worked out okay, but it could have been very different.
Just showing how this week went as well. We were obviously in a group chat with Luke, and Luke went with a free hit, and he had Michael Keane and Tarkowski, wasn't it? I think it was, or O'Brien, somewhere like that. And we said, "Oh, brilliant! Michael Keane scored," and literally he replied saying, "Just hope they keep the clean sheet."
It was so
as
funny.
They conceded, wasn't it? And I was like, "It's gone."
It was so funny. I cannot express the humour it was, because we were talking, and the notification flashed up as he sent the message.
Oh man, so good.
So has it plastered over things? Yeah, it's been a disaster. Like it couldn't be worse. And 5 million in the rank. You know, hopefully it kicks on from here. I mean, this is the great and the good. It was a good week for literally everyone in the great and the good, because everyone played a chip, either a wild card, a triple captain, or a free hit, except for FPL General, who got 21 points this week. Because, like you said, Captain Bruno doesn't own Haaland or Salah. He's done a great video with Joe talking about his reasoning. I don't want to mock him, or like, it's an interesting strategy. He's doing a bit of an experiment to see how we can get on. Could you do it?
No, I could. I've thought before about, like, it would be fun to have a second team and pick only like English players, or pick players, you know, I've got to have triple United the whole way through or stuff like that. But I could never do it for my main team, because fair enough if you're blanking out some kind of players, but blanking out the 2 highest scoring players that you're expecting from every season, like, it's a big old thing. And obviously Haaland started like an absolute train, hasn't he? So yeah, it's a tough one. And what he really needed was some of those midfielders to start well and start scoring well, and they haven't at all, have they? So it's kind of been the perfect storm of everything going bad for him, basically.
I feel for him, because he's obviously made this rod for his own back. He said at the start of the season, I will go this year without owning Haaland or Salah. And then Palmer's got injured. Saka's sort of in and out of the reckoning. There's not been any real premiums other than those 2 that are really great picks. He's Captain Bruno. He's got minus. I mean, look at the captain points. I mean, that's the problem. He's only had 40 captain points. You compare that to Fabio Borges, who once again is at the top of this list with 108, and you feel like that's going to be the biggest problem, because he not only has he got to pick players who can cover the points that Haaland particularly is going to get, he's got to just go rogue with a captain every week, and it's so hard to get the captaincy right.
I almost think he ought to do what we were saying you could do at the beginning of the season, which was go 5 at the back every week. Like, if you're not going to go Salah and Haaland, go 5 at the back with all these DEFCON boys and just see how many points you can get. Like, we've seen it with, like, you know, even players with like Alderete and that. Just stick those in and just see what happens if you play 5 at the back every week. And just because these DEFCON points seem to be the way to go at the moment, so maybe that's the way to do it. But I do feel for him a bit. I
do, and the trouble is, I look at his team and I think it looks like everyone else's team, just without the greatest goal scorer we probably ever had in the Premier League in it. And I'm like, where's that money gone? It doesn't look particularly strong, especially when you've got. I mean, I'm struggling to pick out of the 6-5 and under mids. I think there's so many with Sarr, with Ndai. It was really good. You've got Grealish just above him. You've got players that like Reinders, Doku. Like there's so many options under 7 million. It doesn't lend itself to someone who's not picking the expensive option. So yeah, good luck, Mark. I sense it won't get better, but I hope it does. A bit, I guess. Do I? I mean, you are quite a nice canary to have down the table. It means I'm probably not going to fall under you.
He is only 20 points below you, mate.
Yep. He was up above me before this week. It's don't want to jinx it. But yeah, a good week. A good week overall for the great and the good. Let's take a look at our talking points then this week. Oh no, I've left all the things open. So 4 talking points. The one I wanted to start with, and it's something we've talked about before, and it's something we've talked about on lots of streams and things, and the Scoutcast. I think very similar wildcard teams, shall we say? I was watching from you and the boys. You were blaming them for it earlier.
Yeah, 100%. I was on it.
They copied you.
I was on it the week before, and then all of a sudden they start messaging me their teams. I'm like, what's going on here? They've all wildcarded. So yeah, no, it's definitely not my fault. Nothing's ever my fault.
I don't want this to be a bash at content creators. That's not the point of what this segment is. What I want to talk about is we've had new rules come in. We've been told by the man who may not be named that DEFCON is there to increase the player pool, right? It's going to make players who we weren't previously considering options. And, it's worked to an extent with like Anderson but it's also made good picks undroppable, like Senesi. You're not going to have a team without Senesi now. He's 100% DEFCON. And when we look at the wildcard template, I used Live FPL. I went through my mini leagues and I just added to the Live FPL favourite manager list anyone who had 69 points plus or minus 1. Yeah. And then looked at their teams. And these teams are 13 out of 15 the same. And, we've got Harry, Mate, Oscar, we've got Bakar, we've got Raptor, we've got like Black Wolf in there, we've got Sam Jackson, we've got Sonaldo. These teams are virtually identical. And when we talked about this last week and we looked at wildcard teams and what people were planning, and everyone's got the same team, right? It was such a strong template. It was the strongest template I've ever seen in all my years of playing FPL. What is going on with that? Like, what do we do with it? I mean, do we fight? I mean, my team is different, but am I an idiot? I mean, yes, obviously, but, respective of me, what you think about me, like, is it the time to go against the template, or is it strong? Is it there for a reason?
I think there's kind of two different sides to this, really, because there's the side that, especially at the beginning of the season, a lot of content creators don't want to go away from the grain. Because,
risk averse, as Luke said.
Yeah, risk adverse because because they don't want to be left behind too much. And I think because a lot of content creators, and obviously we're in them as well, have been left behind a little bit at the beginning of this season because things haven't been going the way we thought they'd be going. A lot of people thought, right, they started with Salah. We need to get Haaland in. They might have banked up some transfer, a bit like I did. And obviously, wildcarding this week with Burnley at home for Man City made an awful lot of sense. 5 game weeks of data is still a small sample size, but we're starting to get an idea as to which players are going to get those DEFCONs. And obviously, that is a big pull to try and get those players into our team. We said it about your team not that long ago, saying that actually if you wildcarded, a lot of what you're wildcarding for is for those defenders, which isn't actually a bad way of looking at it. But I think if you also looked at the other side of things is that if you put these managers, how many are there? 9 or 10? 10.
10.
If you put those 10 managers into a single room by themselves with all the same information and everything that they normally have, even if you put them in there without all the information, I bet you within about a 10% variance, they would all come out with pretty much the same team again anyway. Yeah. Because most of the picks just picked themselves this week. Like they genuinely did. When I picked my team, I think I had 7 that were like, yep, dead on, I'm going to pick those 7. You've got to go with someone like Dubravka because if you're planning a bench boost, whatever it is you're doing, he's a 4 million playing keeper. So you're always going to pick him. And then you're looking at other players and you're thinking, well, I don't want these players to be on my bench for much longer. So you go the cheaper options. You've got cheap 4 million defenders, and it just picked itself. And I don't think people that are streaming and telling people these are the players you should go for should go any different just because people are saying this is boring. Like, I genuinely don't think that. Imagine if you were that guy that went, do you know what? I don't want to be boring. I don't want John 360 from Huddersfield to say, oh, this is a boring team, so I've got to change my team. Like, that's disingenuous. So I think it's a real tough one to go with because I think I can see both sides. It does look boring, but if you were only following, say, FPL Focal, you wouldn't have an issue with it. But because we all obviously follow all of them and they all look the same, it starts to look a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good
annoying.
point. I think what surprises me, I guess, a bit is, I mean, there is a very core set of obvious picks. Like we mentioned, Senesi, Gabriel, Haaland, Gyökeres from now. Like, you know, I'm not debating any of those, but
yeah,
I was surprised with like the numbers of Ndiaye's, for example, because I get it. Ndiaye was playing West Ham at home. He's on penalties, blah blah blah. But like you went for Xavi Simons, for example. But you look at this list; they basically all went for Ndiaye, and that it just feels. And like Pedro, for example, like Pedro's fine. He's a good pick, but I don't think he's that much better than like a Simmons or a Kudus or Enzo or some. You know what I mean? Like it felt there's a couple of spots that you could maybe tweak to your own play style or ideas or whatever, but people don't seem to want to do that anymore. They just want to go for the safe options.
Yeah, and the Ndiaye one's interesting. Like I always think, because especially this season, I've watched an awful lot more football than I usually do, and I've never watched Ndiaye and gone, oh yeah, I want him in my team. Yeah, but it's just the fact he's a bit cheaper and he's on penalties. But I don't watch Everton and think you're going to score a lot of goals, and I don't watch Ndiaye and think they're going to get a lot of penalties. And he's someone that excites me and I want to own. But you know, he's cheap, and it meant that people could afford somebody else. So I get it, but yeah, like I said, it's really tough. You can see that there are obviously some outside influences, because there obviously are, because actually some of these outside influences are doing very, very well at projecting what's about to happen. And so people are maybe not trusting their own judgment enough and obviously going with the judgment of an outside influence, which I get as well. But it is tough as well when you're a content creator with hundreds of thousands of followers and that, because you've got to do well, haven't you?
The flip side to that, I mean, if I did content on my own, like a lot of these guys do, I completely get it. You just pick the best team, you can justify them, you can talk about pens, completely get it. I find it very hard to do a 2-person stream, a 3-person stream, like with you, and for us to have the same team. Like, I was annoyed with both of us when we went for such a similar team in game week 1. The caveat to that was I know for certain that we built those teams independently of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember seeing your team on the Scoutcast and being like, hang on a minute, that's what I've just put together. Yeah. So that kind of helped a bit. But there is a temptation to bring in players that are different to yours so that we can talk a bit more about things. But it's interesting that you say that is a bit disingenuous, because it is a little bit. Like, if I'm picking players that I think are not as good as players that I would pick, and that has been my problem in previous years. I've tried to go against the grain, tried to go against the template, and it's cost me awful ranks over the last 3 years. So there's a balance to it as a content creator. It's not always easy to find.
I think so. I think if you went back before we had all of these, projection sites that are doing very, very well, if you went back before it, you still had teams that were all really similar. Yeah. Like it just happened. And the teams that are at the top are all very similar, because those are the ones that are scoring points. So I think it gets blown out of proportion maybe a little bit at the moment, because we see so many of these teams and all of this data is so easy to look at. We can see, like you've just brought it up here, it's so easy to see all of that. But the one good thing you can say, and it happened this year, is FPL Review, for example, they didn't have the best of starts. No. So this was the year that you could actually really, go above them. And that's one thing that you should say is probably a good thing, is that when it does have a bad year, you should be able to rise up quite easily. Yep.
Matt Francis, are you playing for yourself or to make a good show? I think that's a good question. I think there is an element of trying to do both. When we do these, and I think that is okay to say. It is a more interesting show when we have different strategies and aren't just regurgitating the same things. the bigger problem isn't necessarily with the people, like you said. It's with not necessarily with the game, but the fact that we don't have a Palmer, a Saka, a Haaland, a Salah all before, because Salah hasn't given us a choice. If Salah had started the season scoring 8 goals along with Haaland, you're going to see people with both. You're going to see people sticking with Salah. You're going to see people sticking with Haaland. But the season has just gone in a way which lends itself to the pool of 15, 20 players and not 50.
Exactly.
Yeah. Greg says somebody should make a John 360 account and spook Andy out. I like that.
Oh, God.
That's good. Ollie Sack, knowing the influence these guys have, it might be worth going against the template. That's a good point.
Yeah.
If we think that these guys are influencing hundreds of thousands of people, then it gives a chance to...
There's also a difference between going against the template and going for other players you think are also going to score well. Like, you can't just say, I'm going to go against the template and say, like, I'm not going to pick Semenyo because he's in everybody's seat. If you think Semenyo is going to score loads of points, you pick him. It doesn't matter whether he's in the template. Like, I know you and Mark had this chat about EO a couple of years ago. Like, do you not pick a player because he's got high EO? And it's like, well, no, you pick the player you think is going to score the most points, don't you?
Yeah. I think the interesting decisions come when you've got a player who is high. You say you've got 2 players, so like captaincy, for example, 2 high EO players. Do you play it safe and go with the one that most people are going to captain, or do you take a punt and go with? Sorry, you got 1 high and one low, because that's where the manager style can differ, and the top managers would argue that you pick the high EO player, because you're still going to get a bit of a rise, and it might not be as much as obviously if you went for the lower one, but you're relying on multiple things happening. You need the high one to blank, you need the low one to perform. There's a lot more factors that come into it. The variance needs to be a lot higher. So the safer play is to play it safe.
Yeah. Who's Sam163, by the way, says, with all the models and analytics sites, it also means people get to the template that much quicker than they used to. And I will say as well, and that's a good point, Husan, is that there's more data than ever on the FPL site as well. Yeah. So people can easily look on the FPL site, look at XG, look at all that kind of stuff. And I think that's having an impact too. So yeah, it's all kind of gearing towards all these players doing better than they ever used to. And unfortunately, with people like FPL Harry, who does so well every single year, he's got an awful lot of people that follow him and do exactly what he does every week. So that makes a massive difference too.
Yep. Matt France says, how can they not be identical when you're using the same data and the same set of players? I mean, again, that is true. We use Scout, we use the tables, we use the comparison tools, we use some of the models, and they come out with the same 15 players. So you're picking from that pool. I get it. Yeah. It's just, like I said at the start, we thought DEFCON might raise the game of players like Casado and Anderson, but they're just not featuring anymore in people's teams. Yeah. So be interesting to see whether they come back into it or not. Interesting anyway. Second talking point, I mean, speaking of models, I thought I would show a model in terms of the optimal team. Could be a good picture, right?
Yeah.
I showed this earlier, you were like, why the hell have you got that up? Like I'd accidentally added it in. I was like, oh, whoops, that's a guilty pleasure. Obviously, there are people on Wildcards this week, like myself. I thought this was interesting because we asked our friend FPL Apocalypse, who is in the Analytics Discord. For those who aren't aware, he created a model which did better than review last season. So he's our sort of resident expert on the model front. And this is the team that he put together. So this is the team over the next 6 weeks. It's for Bruggen in goal. It's Gabriel, Tarkovsky and Senesi. It's Saka, Matoma, Minte, Sarr and Salah. Gyökeres and Mateta up top with Dubravka, Calvert-Lewin, Lacroix and Ekdal. So a few things to note here. One is he's gone with Saka and Gyökeres over the double defence, which is something we're going to talk about in a minute. It's gone with double Brighton midfield, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah. And biggest of all, no Erling Haaland. And when we pressed Apocalypse about that, he said that the model is basically saying that when Marmoush is back and available, he expects it to eat into Haaland's points. And if we look at some of the other sites, they're actually recommending we sell Haaland in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not completely bananas.
No, it seems crazy, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of that there is pretty much what people would pick anyway with the triple Arsenal. Double Crystal Palace seems absolutely fine. It's just the Salah route, isn't it? That's the thing. But from game week 8 onwards, getting some Liverpool in doesn't feel that bad either.
Well, look at it. Look at the run they've got. Man United at home, Brentford, Villa, Man City, Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Brighton. I mean, specifically from 12.
Yeah.
We're going to need someone, surely.
Yeah. I mean, looking at that, have you got any temptation to do the switch around again and do Haaland back to Salah? Because obviously you're wildcarding this week, so you're going to have Haaland. You've already got Haaland. You've got no temptation to go with Salah yet, I'm guessing. Because
let's have a look at the mids, because again we've said in previous streams that Salah's low down on the XG on penalty per 90. It hasn't got any better after the blank against Palace. You've got to go down to 40th in midfielders to find him. 0.27 XG on penalty per 90. To put that into context, he normally averages around 0.6, 0.7.
Yeah.
In fact, if he's getting 0.6, you'd probably say he's having quite a quiet spell. Haaland's at like 1.3 or something absolutely crazy. Sar's up at 0.77. It's very hard to justify Salah, regardless of whether you pick him over Haaland, to justify him at all in your team with these stats.
Yeah, I think it's tough based on everything we've seen so far. And he was benched, wasn't he, midweek?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, different players peak at different times, and he was obviously absolutely ridiculous last season. But is this just where we start to see the decline?
Overperformed though massively on the data.
He has, but I mean, he's overperformed quite a few times, hasn't he? So he's obviously somebody that does
not as much as last year.
Yeah, true.
Not as much as last year.
But is this where we start to see just a little bit of a decline? Haaland's not even reached peak years yet. He's still young, relatively, compared to other strikers in the world. And I'm looking at Salah and just thinking he can't keep doing what he's done. He's the greatest FPL asset we've ever had, and he can't keep doing it year on, year out. And I'm just wondering whether, I think I saw something the other day saying that they're thinking about formations without him in, playing that kind of diamond with Ekitike, Wirtz and Isak. And I'm just wondering whether they are just going to have some of those games where they think, let's see what we can do without him. But I don't know. By 16, we're all going to be getting rid anyway. None of us can have him then anyway. So it's just, do we think that he's the best asset to own for Liverpool from game week 12 onwards? Do you think you're going to be trying to get him in?
No. I think that's it. I think that's it for me and Salah, because I've looked at Salah and Haaland teams, and I think they're weak, really weak. If you're looking to have like a decent defense with, even like 5 or 6 million defenders, I don't think you can do it with both. You need to be going down to like 4 or 5s. You're looking at probably 6 million assets rather than 6, 5 and 7s. And, there could be 8, 5 assets that we want to look at, like Foden, for example, or Mbumo, if he starts making good on his stats. I mean, he features really highly on here. And you can't do it. Your flexibility is so restricted when you go with both. I can't see us, unless there's an injury, parting with Haaland this year. Can you? We're going to have money tied up in him. He's going to keep going up in price. You feel like he can score every week.
I feel like the Liverpool way most people will go, and with the fact that they've got 16 in their sights as well, I think it's going to be Isak. I think Isak will make his way into the team, and obviously he's been playing because Ekitike was suspended as well, but I feel like Isak will be the way most people go because, like I said, in 16 they're saving themselves a transfer. They don't have to take Salah out because obviously he goes to AFCON. So I think Isak will probably be the way most people go.
Well, you say that. I mean, the way people are going to get Isak, I would expect, would be Gyökeres, right? Because Gyökeres is the closest in price. It'll be very interesting if over this run, because we've spoken about before, but Arsenal have an incredible... This is the wrong one. I mean, Arsenal have an incredible run. I mean, right up until game week. I mean, right up until the whole list. There's not a run of fixtures where it's tough until game week 20 when it's Bournemouth, Liverpool, even Forest after that is shaky. Yeah. So if Gyökeres is scoring, 1 in 2 or, getting decent points, you're not going to want to take him out for Isak, given the slight uncertainty. So we're going to see a lot of surgery having to be made to fit Isak in. Because it's not easy to have Gyökeres, Haaland, Isak, a decent defence. What happens if a 7-8 million asset? What if you want to keep Bruno Fernandes, for example? Sacrifice is going to have to be made. But I definitely think Isak from 8 is going to have to be at least considered.
Yeah, but like you said, it's where to get the money from, because a lot of people's team value have been destroyed this season.
Yep.
I'm still below 100 million, I think. So it would be interesting trying to get those in.
You can't be.
To be honest, I've also been using the app, and obviously the app is just the most unreliable thing in the world for information. So I'll have another look now, but it was below that when I last looked.
With all your price rises on your wildcard. Now you're at 100.4.
Oh, that's all right. It says 99.5 on the app.
No, you're at 100.4. I'm at 101.
I'm swimming in it. Oh, swimming in it, you are, mate.
How the hell is mine higher than yours when I've
lend us a
had all these
fiver? Well, so I wildcarded.
Yeah, no, but I thought you did that to catch price rises. How the hell have I managed to?
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, interesting. There is potential. I think teams are going to be shaken up a bit. Like I said, the model's already putting out teams which are a little bit different, even if there's those core players that remain. Liverpool could shake things up. I still have hope that even though the template's strong, at this stage, things will change in the near future.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some actual FPL bits then. I want to talk about Arsenal. This is kind of the big decision, I think, for wildcarders this week. I think the majority have already made their beds with it. I think the majority of wildcards I've seen have gone Raya, Gabriel, Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. Got no issue with that. But the decision to be made if you're on a wildcard this week is, do you shirk Raya and go for another attacker and go for two up top, or go double defence and play four at the back and go for a Timber or a Calafiori or someone along those lines. So this is the list of Arsenal players. You can see Gabriel is now the top point scorer out of all the Arsenal players. Timber's just below him with Calafiori 38, 37 and 36. Rice, I tipped him at the start of the season. He's had a pretty decent start. 3 assists in 6 games. Not bad. Right. Underlying stats aren't amazing, but you know, it's okay. He's taken a great corners and things like that. Zubimendi's done well, 2 goals for him. All out scoring Raya, just about. He's on 28, and then you've got Gyökeres on 24. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were wildcarding this week, what 3 Arsenal players would you pick? The
same 3 I've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be worried if you changed your mind after 1 week.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was in quite a few wildcard drafts, wildcard group chats, sorry, and there were a few people there that really wanted to get Saka in. I just didn't think I could really do it. I didn't know how his minutes were going to be managed moving forward. Even if it was kind of like, you know, he was going off 70, 75, I didn't really like that compared to Gyökeres. And Gyökeres, we're assuming, is on penalties. We can only assume that's the case. I think that probably will be the case, but we don't really know until they get one. So I think Gyökeres was the pick. It was just whether I went with your idea of Pope in goal instead of Raya, because Newcastle's fixtures are pretty nice for a little while. So I still think they're the best 3. I think Raya is just someone that you just don't have to think about every week, basically. We've got a 4 million keeper, so it's not like you're having to spend 4.5 and think about a bench boost. You got a 4 million keeper, so 5.5 seems fine in that way. And Raya, you know, they're the best defence in the league. They're the best defence every year. And some game, I mean, I think you'll show the RobT graphic later on, but there's also a medium-term one there as well, where you see how likely their clean sheets are every week. I think we talked about this maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, they're miles clear. Yeah.
And they're above 50% 4 or 5 times. Every other team might have a 50% one once, and that's if you're a really top team. They've got it like 4 or 5 times. They're just far and away. I'm just so happy to have double defence. That could turn out wrong, but I just feel like that was the way to go. And then it is one of Saka or Gyökeres. I mean, you are wildcarding this week. Have you got any temptation to go with Saka?
I've got him, 100%. 100%.
With Gyökeres, though.
Yes, and I was very happy that you didn't go the Pope route, because when I saw your team after the deadline, I thought, good, because I'm going to be going with Pope and Saka. And if you'd gone with Pope and sort of had that spot as well, you know, like we said earlier, I don't want our teams to be too similar and things like that. I completely get the double Arsenal defence. They're incredible. Like, I get it. I'm not ever going to say that it's a clear divide. What I'm hoping is, given the fact that we don't have too many premium assets available to us, I'm hoping that Saka, in the same bracket-ish as like a Fernandes, playing in with better fixtures in a more attacking role than we see for Fernandes, can outscore him, because I don't want Bruno. I never wanted him. I bought him in last week, and if he'd scored the penalty, maybe my mind would be different. I'd be saying, oh, he got the penalty, it was great and all that. But I hate watching him play. I hate it.
That's fair. And can I? Yeah, carry on.
Well, just that. I mean, I want to enjoy watching a match. And, I've seen Bruno playing as the 10 against Chelsea when they went down to 10 men. He was obviously high up the pitch. Against Burnley, he was much more advanced. But the fixtures are tough for Man U. Even Sunderland are not any pushovers, like you rightly called at the start of the season. And watching him just mill about on the halfway line and not get involved in the attacks, and watching the way United attacks break down and things, I'm happy not to own him and to take a bit of a punt against him, basically.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, if people wanted to go against the template, which is what a few people said, I do think Timber could be a really good pick moving forward. I feel like Ben White is a long way off getting back into this team. I feel like Timber at 0.4 less than Gabriel, I think is a better pick than Saliba, personally. And I think moving forward, Timber could be a really good shout. So if you had the money and you didn't want to go Raya, but you still wanted double defence, you could even go Gabriel and Timber. It's a lot of money, but I feel like Timber could be a really good shout moving forwards.
Well, that's what I mean. Four at the back with Gabriel and Timber, for 5'8". I mean, you compare Timber at 5'8" to some of the mids around 6 million. I know you've got like Anderson, Casado, Reinders, but realistically, I mean, you'd expect Timber to outscore all of those with the clean sheet potential and 18 touches in the penalty area is high. I mean, shout out to Calafiori as well. I know we haven't really spoken about him too much. He's obviously got the threat of Lewis Skelly knocking around, but 20 touches in the penalty area is there's Madueke at 34, Gyökeres at 37, but then it's Calafiori at 20. 12 shots is only one below Gyökeres. They're like starting striker. And he's done well. He looks brilliant in the matches he's seen. So, okay, he might miss the odd game for Lewis Skelly, but at the same time, that back four at the moment is hard to change up because they all look so good in different ways, all four of them.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you'd argue Saliba is by far the weakest of the four because he's droppable at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, J77 Lag, by the way, says, wash his hands of Bruno after 1 week. I would love it if you get to the end of the season, you've only owned Bruno once, which means that Bruno has got you -1 point for the entire season. Yeah.
Oh, if you've got Bruno, I would strongly suggest you captain him because, me taking him out after 1 week almost guarantees a haul against Sunderland. And I actually think Sunderland is a good game for him. I've talked about his positioning, but I do expect Sunderland to play the low block and to sit back. They're a very good defence, but surely Fernandes gets high up the pitch in that game. He's not going to need to do the defensive work that he has done, against other teams. So Fernandes is a great option this week, but it's the mid to long term, isn't it? And yeah, I don't want to bash United anymore. I mean, I cannot believe he lost 3-1 to Brentford though, and that is very funny.
Yeah, I'm watching him on Saturday. I'm there. I know. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
We talked about me. That is your beloved Sunderland. Maybe this is the day where you become a full-on, black cat. No.
No.
Okay, so you're sticking with Gabriel Raya and Gyökeres. I'm saying Gabriel, Saka, and Gyökeres. I don't hate Rice. I don't hate Timber. I don't hate Calafiori. The one player we haven't really talked about is Eze.
Yeah.
I was very, very, very impressed with him against Newcastle. I thought he was everything that they have maybe lacked a little bit in terms of that creativity over the last year or so. Surely he's got to start most games.
Yeah, you think so. I think he's in their best 11 now. Odegaard coming back in was interesting. So obviously he came back in. They looked a lot better when he came back in as well. I thought against Newcastle, with their kind of best 11 on the pitch towards the end, I thought they looked really good. I like Eze, and I think he's great, especially when he's playing in that 10 role as well. But there are times, obviously, he's got 2 assists this year from it. He drops back deeper and obviously puts those balls over the top, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I know he assisted Martinelli for one of those. And was it him that put it forward for Gyökeres? I can't remember how it worked now.
It was for Gyökeres.
Yeah. And
good goal.
so I quite like that. I mean, it's whether he is in your top 3 in terms of choices, whether having him is better than having a double defence, whether you would pick him over Saka. Obviously, he's 7.5 million. I I think it would be quite a punt to go for him at the moment, personally, for 7.5 million.
I think if Madueke wasn't injured, the Saka feels a bit more risky. But with Madueke out, I think he has to play more because he you know, they could have rested Saka or taken him off early. But I mean, obviously there's one area there, but you'd still expect Saka to play the majority of matches at the moment. I think Eze's just a little bit too. We don't know what his best role is. Do they play him on the left? Do they play him in the 10? The 10 is where you want to see him, but they're stacked in midfield. So
I think it's a risky one because it just feels like one of those transfers where in a couple of weeks you're going to be looking at it going, oh, why did I go that way? Especially when, if you're picking him, like I said, it means you're not going double defence, or you're not going for Gyökeres, or you're not going for Saka. And I feel like those other ones are better options at the moment.
Yep, I agree. Cool. And then the final talking point for today is a certain Joao Pedro. There he is. I think this is quite an interesting one. I'm seeing there's a few people going off him a little bit. Obviously very, very highly owned in the wildcard templates, and he's the highest owned player in the game, I think, still. Or maybe Haaland has overtaken him, but he's up there. He's one of the highest owned players in the game. These are some stats that I put together on him. So game weeks 1 to 3 versus 4 to 6. He's had 2 goals, 2 assists in his first 3 games. An XG of 1.35, an XA of 0.16, 13 pen touches and 8 shots. Look at his last 3 games. And okay, Chelsea do keep getting red cards, so it's a little bit unfair. But in the 3 games from 4 to 6, he's had no goals, 1 assist. His XGI has dropped to 0.23. He's had fewer touches in the penalty area, just 8. And he's only, I think, which is quite crucial, only had 1 shot in 3 games. So I had a look at him versus Enzo, who is someone who is very highly regarded at the moment. And Enzo, over the 6 games, is killing him, really. 3 goals, 2 assists. The same number of goal involvements, but an extra goal. An XGI of 3 compared to 1.7. Same number of penalty touches, same number of shots, and crucially, he is about 1 million less. Yeah. So, Andrew North, my question to you: Is it time to sell Joao Pedro?
Well, so there's been a bit of a thing coming out today, hasn't there, that Pedro's not been called up for Brazil, which I think is quite interesting about whether there is actually maybe a bit of an injury there, that they're worried that they want to rest him and not use him for Brazil. I think it's only Esteval that's been called up for Chelsea for Brazil.
So. It's 2 friendlies. He's Chelsea's only fit striker.
Yeah,
and
whether they're saying... Yeah, he's not going, basically.
It's the save face, isn't it? I mean, I'd imagine Maresca has got an agreement with Brazil that he doesn't go up, but they can't just say Joao doesn't fancy it. But when Sterling did that for England, he was like, I'm feeling really tired, and he got absolutely slated. So it's probably more to that.
I think so. I really toyed with the idea of losing Pedro on Wildcard, and it was for Richarlison. And I looked at it, and I looked forward at the fixtures, and I tried to think, what are wildcards going to look like in a couple of weeks' time? And in a couple of weeks' time, Pedro will be in those wildcards, because from game week 9 onwards, I think it is. Where is it? I got their fixtures here. From game week 9 onwards, they got Sunderland at home, then Spurs away, then Wolves and Burnley. He's going to be in teams then. Like, if he's, like you just said, he's their only fit striker. He's going to be in teams from game week 9 onwards. Do I really want to move him out to then want to bring him back in when he is the most owned player? Like, it's going to be an absolute nightmare going against him for those 4 weeks. Enzo obviously looks very, very good on this because of his XG. He's had 2 penalties.
So the XG is non-penalty. So this is without.
That's nice.
This is without penalties. Yeah.
Right, and obviously, so if you put those penalties on top as well, I think Enzo's a good asset because obviously he's on penalties without Palmer anyway. But I personally don't think Pedro is an issue. I feel like, yes, his stats have taken a bit of a dip. He got sent off in Champions League, which means he's not playing in the next Champions League, which I believe is between 7 and 8.
That was annoying. That someone going against him. Yeah.
So because it's between 7 and 8, that means he's not going to play, which means he can easily play between 7 and 8. And there's no one else to play anyway, because I think the only other person they could play is George, isn't it? So
they got Gooey.
Who's not getting any game time. So
I hate him.
I think Pedro's fine. The only person that I think you could potentially move Pedro out for, if you were really looking to do it, that I would be quite happy to, is Mateta.
Okay.
I feel like Mateta would be. He's on penalties. Crystal Palace are just best team in England at the moment in terms of unbeaten. So I feel like Mateta wouldn't be a bad shout, but I just wouldn't use a transfer. I wouldn't use a transfer on moving Pedro out.
See, I'm going for Enzo. I like these stats, and I'm looking at ways to go against a 57% owned player, and I haven't been that impressed with him over the last few weeks. My plan always at the start of the season was Pedro will start strongly and then dip. That is what I always thought would happen. Okay, the circumstances around why that dip's happened maybe aren't quite what I thought. I think with Palmer injury and things like that, but I think this groin injury with Palmer does boost Enzo quite a lot, considering he's got penalties. If Pedro was on penalties, there's no debate. There's no debate here. With Enzo on pens when Palmer isn't on the pitch, it becomes more interesting, because even when Palmer's back, we think after the international break, I think he has to be a little bit careful with him, because he can't risk another aggravation of this groin injury that's going to get worse. So you might end up getting 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of early subs for Palmer, maybe the occasional rest. I don't think Palmer's going to be someone that we can consider on our own teams, because there's going to be that little bit of risk around him. And if Palmer's not on the pitch, Enzo's on pens. I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I don't hate Enzo. I think Enzo is a good pick with the minutes he's got, and like you said, with the penalties as well. There's nothing stopping you going from both. But I mean, in terms of who your strikers will be, have you got a plan of getting Pedro in for 9?
No,
because
nope.
But I think that's rough. I think that's a rough call. Like I said, Sunderland at home, Spurs away, Wolves at home, Burnley away. You're going to want him for those 4. You're going to be getting him in for those 4.
I'm not sure Pedro is going to be the essential pick that so many people seem to think he is. I've always had my doubts around that. It's been annoying that obviously with Delap injured and other injuries, but I do have my doubts about Pedro, as like every week this guy is going to be scoring goals in amongst the points. He can be a bit of a flaky player. The talent's there, no question. But Chelsea as well. I mean, Chelsea haven't massively impressed me this season again, and questions are starting to be asked about Maresca and his tactics a little bit. So, with Enzo there, I sort of, obviously the coverage is not the word we want to use, but I don't think there's a huge amount in it between Enzo and Pedro, and there's a 1 million difference in price. I
mean, the Liverpool fixture doesn't scare me. Liverpool, they're in a dip of form. Alisson got injured as well, which is big. I know Mamadishvili is very well thought of and people really like him, but I think that is a hurt for Liverpool. So again, I think someone said it in the chat, and I can't see where it was. Ryan said he's an obvious don't buy, don't sell, and I think that's exactly it. There's no point wasting a transfer moving Pedro out. But if you're on Wildcard this week, I kind of get not going with him. But I don't think... I think going with, say, an Enzo and Mateta is fine. But I also don't think Pedro's an issue. So I think it's okay.
I don't think he's an issue. And I completely agree. If I had him, I wouldn't be selling him. I don't think he... Like I said, like with the Raya thing, I don't think he's a bad pick. It's just, can you go against him and find someone who I think is better value? I think Enzo is better value from what I've seen than Pedro going forward. I still don't think Pedro's a 9. I still don't think that is his best position. I think he... And someone said in the chat, does Pedro need a big boy up front of him? Doesn't seem to play without a Welbeck, Palmer or Delap. I agree. I think he needs someone who runs off him. And, the finishing was there early on, and maybe we're starting to see him regress down a little bit. But, an interesting one. Got some stats to show you about other players. Oh, there's Daniel Banks' comments. Just as always, just a shout out to Fantasy Football Scout. All the stats we show, all the tables are built on Arsenal and Pedro, and everything like that is all from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So much you can do with their tables and stats and everything. So zap the QR code. It'll take you to the screen to sign up for a membership. You get 5% off if you use our code FFS BlackBox 5, and the rate will never go up when you subscribe. So if you keep that rate going for your entire life, you'll never pay a penny more than that. And if you've had a slow start, like a lot of us have, you need it basically, because it's going to give you that little bit of an extra edge. Let's come over to team defense to start with. And this is why I like Pope, because I don't know who else I'd go for in that. back line, especially with Livramento now injured. Newcastle are top of XG, non-penalty per 90 conceded. They've had the 17th worst fixtures, and I know they conceded 2 to Arsenal, but they were unlucky, I think, to concede that last. Well, not unlucky. To be fair, Pope made loads of great saves in that game, but any goal in the 90-plus minute is always a bit unlucky. But I've been really impressed with Newcastle. The back line has been superb. Yeah,
I do wonder whether that's going to change soon, though. When they get their players back, like Walter Marder's obviously come in and he's done well actually, and there's another player you could potentially get in instead of Pedro. But I do look at it and wonder whether Howe's having to play a bit more defensive because their attacking assets haven't quite been right yet, and he's still waiting for him to kind of settle in. So I do wonder whether that's there, but you can't deny the fact that their XG conceded is better than anybody else in the league at the moment, and kind of significantly better as well, isn't it? Which is quite nice. Arsenal in second, which we were just saying is no massive surprise, and their next 6 difficulty is the second best, which I mean just says a massive case for going for Arsenal double defence. Bournemouth in third. In third, and they've had the 18th worst last 6 difficulty.
And they've had their entire backline decimated in the summer as well.
Iraola, mate, honestly, he's so ridiculously good. And you look at that and think, Senesi's going to be 5 million soon, and he's probably worth every penny, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth have impressed me more than anyone else this season. You know, maybe them and Sunderland. Sunderland have obviously been great, but Bournemouth, I thought Bournemouth would really struggle this year, and you know, to be getting the results that he's got and to turn that team into a team that people fear, like going to that tiny stadium. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, look at the chances conceded per 90, 6.5. That's the lowest. That's the lowest in the league. So teams just are really, really struggling to create chances against them. Okay, their big chance conceded per 90 is a little bit higher at 1.25, higher than Arsenal, for example. But still, for the most part, they're keeping teams restricted and not allowing them lots of shots.
Yeah, no, they are. It's an interesting table to look at. Again, it's a small sample size because they only had the start of the season. You look at teams like, for instance, Sunderland, who are in 6th here, but they have had the best start in terms of who they face so far. And then you look at the next 6 and it goes down to 13th, although whether that counts Man United on there, I'm not too sure. And then you've got Man United. Man United are in 16th, but they've had the hardest start out of anybody so far. But Brentford was supposed to be the turn of that bad start, and it was supposed to be getting good after that. So I'm not fancying United to get much against Sunderland. So we'll see what happens there, because I've said it before, I think Sunderland are a really good team. So interesting though, watching, we've seen Frank not do so well recently. Spurs are in 12th, but they've got the best fixtures in the next 6 in terms of defence.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because Van der Ven and Romero look good. I think Porro's benching is now going to scare a few people off him. Not many people are going to go for Vicario when you've got Raya and Pope. So you're looking at one of the 2 centre backs and thinking, okay, this is the time to play them. But Defcon wise, they haven't been doing amazing. I mean, if we look at the Defcon chart, they don't feature either of them in the top 20, for example. You're paying 5 million-ish for those, so they're in the bracket of like your Lacroix, your Gahey's, Tarkovsky's a little bit higher, Senesi's around the same price. So you are relying on clean sheets for them, and maybe some attacking returns, because we have seen that happen over the first few weeks. But they're not quite maybe as attractive. If the fixtures weren't as good, I don't think we'd be looking their way so sexily.
So sexily.
For want of a better word. No,
I know what you mean. I mean, the Defcon's interesting. Obviously, Senesi's the only one now on 100%, which after 6 weeks getting 100% is ridiculous, isn't it? Like, fair play to him for doing that. And obviously, I'm sure he's sat at home right now thrilled that he's got 100% Defcons. But a few players there, like we've mentioned, Sunderland are doing so well at the moment. Xhaka has been an absolute beast for Defcon, and obviously got assists at the weekend as well. I think he got almost 20 Defcon, didn't he, at the weekend or something silly? You've got Alderete there, you've got Mukiele there. Would you be scared? Would you be benching your Sunderland players against Man United this week?
Yes, but if I was bench boosting this week, I would not be worried about playing them.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna frustrate you.
Yeah.
I thought they were so impressive against Forest. They really, really limited them to not much. And then they've got the threat. I mean, the throw-ins they've got are a weapon. And then you've got centre backs in the box, so they're getting on the end of corners and throw-ins and things. So there's no real reason why Alderete or who's the other one,
Mukiele.
There's no reasons why they can't, get some goals, keep the goals coming as well, because I think that's something they're targeting.
Yeah.
I don't think United win that game. I think I've got them down for a win, but
I have
4 or 5 goals. I can't see it.
I can't know I'm going and put us down as a loss. So I put us down as a 2-1. But I think the way Sunderland play and the way they can play balls through the middle, I see us struggling massively. I mean, did you see Dalot? Did you see how Dalot was defending against Brentford?
Yeah.
He honestly, we're not even a club at the moment. We are so bad. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they get something against us. The only thing I'll say is, like I said, Sunderland have had an easy start so far, but they have still looked good. We've seen other promoted teams have easy starts and they don't make anything of it. So we could see Sunderland do something against United. We'll see.
I mean, when you look at the defensive stats and Man United down in 16th, I mean, it is the toughest run so far, but there's just it doesn't even paint the full story of it, because there's just mistakes, isn't there? There's just mistakes in the back line, especially with the goalkeeper as well. I mean, the new guy needs to come in at some point, surely. It's
God,
getting a bit. He cannot be any worse than Bayindir. Surely he can't be.
Well, no. I mean, if he is, then we shouldn't have bought him in the first place. But yeah, I don't know. Greg's saying he's playing Cunha and Mbumo and benching Mukiele, Alderete, and Roos. Roos,
What can go wrong?
Been a great keeper.
1-0 Sunderland's confirmed.
God.
Yeah. One thing from Mark, just to come off the DEFCON, was Mark messaged earlier, and obviously he's been doing all the modelling for DEFCONs and everything like that. But he said that he looked back at the scout plotting the DEFCONs back to the 2018-19 season, and only one other defender has basically got the threshold for DEFCON in 6 games in a row. And that was Anderson back in 22-23, who's also a DEFCON darling. He's 83%, which is joint with a Tarkovsky. But
what a stat that is.
It's an outlier. Basically, Senesi is an outlier over the last 7 or 8 years. What a start to the season he's having, and he's an absolute must, isn't he?
I spoke to my my Bournemouth mate the other day, and he said he's not even that good. He's not that good a player. Like, obviously, they reckon, because he's out of contract this year, and they reckon he'll stay because his girlfriend plays for Bournemouth Girls, and there's no reason for him to go. But he's nowhere near as good as Howson and Zabani were. But he's obviously just still there, and he was 4.5 to start with. I mean, next year, if we've got any indication that any of these defenders are going to be DEFCON, pretty good for DEFCON, they can't start at 4.5, can they? They've got to all start at 5 million at least, surely.
Well, I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to make Senesi 5.5, and they're going to have to make Porro 4.5.
No.
Well,
no.
I think they're going to have to make attacking fullbacks options again.
Oh,
because
yeah,
why on earth are you picking a? I mean, look at the defenders over the season in terms of points. I mean, just to read out these names. So this is the top defenders over the season, sorted by FPL points: Timber, Maguire, Senesi, Botman, Calafiori, Alderete, Gahey, Bueno, Shalabar, Gabriel, Livramento, I can't pronounce him. Mukiele, Bogard, Cher. How many of those names that I've just listed are fullbacks?
Yeah,
2 or 3 out of 12 or 13.
I know. It's what's been also interesting this year, though, is the fact that these central defenders keep chipping in with assists and stuff as well. Yeah. So that hasn't helped massively either. Nick, by the way, in the chat said, was there any indication that Senesi was a DEFCON monster? He barely played last season. No, fair play, he didn't. Obviously, Zabani and Howson were there. And I think at least one of them was still in the game, weren't they, before when the game launched? So I suppose that didn't help. But I mentioned it last night on Scoutcast, and Greg's mentioned it here, that Diouf for West Ham historically would be in everybody's team by now. He's 4.5 million. He's so attacking, getting assists. He should be in everybody's team. But I guarantee you, he is not going to be in one wildcard team if they're wildcarding this week.
Well, I think it's the same with Munoz as well. I mean, you look at these underlying stats. I know the points haven't quite been there, but 0.31 XGI per 90 is incredibly high. Puts him in the top 5. He's got a goal and 3 assists. No, sorry, he's got 3. No, he's got 1 assist. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 3 clean sheets and an assist. But that hasn't. When you watch him, you think. Well, I mean, you watch him against Liverpool. I mean, if he'd put that away, it's really interesting. But I was tempted to keep Munoz, but I don't think you can make a case for him when you've got Gahey at 4.8, you've got Lacroix at 5.1, or Richards at 4.5. There's just he's going to find it so hard to keep pace because he's going to need to get you an attacking return every 2 games, every 3 games.
Yeah.
And Lacroix is just going to pick up DEFCON almost every week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it depends when you bring them in. So, for instance, if you brought in Munoz and he scored that week, you could be thinking, I made a great decision here. But then, like you said, you watch Richards get DEFCON 3 of the next 4 weeks, and you're like, well, that's just made up for that goal. Yeah. And it is a killer. But it's just the way it's going at the moment. It will change next year, I'm sure of it.
Yep. Attack data over the season. So we've got City at the top. I mean, this is another. I don't have too many decisions left on the wild card, but maximising the Man City attack is definitely high on my list. And whether that is Reinders or whether it's another option, again, Reinders' ownership is very, very high. Is there ways in which you can potentially go against that and get a better option? Palace in second. They have had the 16th worst fixtures, so fair play to them. But their fixtures are terrible going forward as well. 19th on the list. We've talked about Man U. We know their attack is, the data's been pretty good. They're still in third. Arsenal were 5th. 19th worst fixtures, second to come. So again, double up on the attack. Looks pretty promising. And Newcastle, although their defence is really good, their attack has struggled. They're 17th. Yeah. They're scoring few goals. 20th in terms of last 6 difficulty and 11th over the next few weeks. So the Voltemadas, the Gordon, I think, is the one that I've got my eye on, especially after his 2 goals and penalty duties is the one. But these stats are a little bit worrying.
They are a little bit. I mean, 4th from bottom. They have had the hardest start in terms of attack, but 11th coming up in the next 6. I mean, I'm assuming, is Sarr on your wild card?
He is in. I've got 2 spots that I'm debating, and he's in one of them.
Because I'd be all over Sarr. I mean, I know they're 19th in terms of next 6 difficulty, but when you actually break down those fixtures, Bournemouth at home they can definitely score against. Arsenal away is obviously tough. Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away. I mean, I think they're fine. They're absolutely fine. And Palace, we've already said, like, they're genuinely one of the best teams in the league. So they can do anything against anybody. So I think owning Sarr, I would own Sarr over Gordon, 100%.
I mean, look at Sarr's stats. XGI non-penalty per 90, 0.77. That's second of all midfielders to Estavio. What I like about him as well is the XG per shot. So this is effectively the quality of his chances. 0.46 is the highest of all midfielders. So when he's getting opportunities, they're in good areas, which allows him to be clinical. And that's not necessarily something we've associated with in the past, but he looks like a player who you give him a chance and he can finish it. One thing I will say is Gordon does show up very well on here as well. 0.53 over the season. No goals, no assists yet. But in terms of shots in the box, he's in the top 5, which is nice. And I think it's quite close between them. The difference with them, as it was with Enzo and Pedro, is Gordon's 1 million more. Yeah.
And so gets sent off.
And gets sent off. So. But he is on pens. So it's not it does kind of balance out a little bit. And the fixtures are better for Newcastle going forward. That's probably my biggest decision, Sarr versus Gordon. Interesting that you'd say you go with Sarr over him.
I think I would. I even though the penalties with Gordon are obviously quite nice, and the fixtures, I mean, the fixtures I would say for Gordon are pretty nice as well. And I feel like someone like Gordon, you can hold on to him all the way through, really. I know they've got Man City at home in 12, but the fixtures are nice. Even in 15 and 16, they got 2 promoted sides there. But I mean, it's the penalties that could swing it. But I just think Sarr's so good from a attacking shot percentage. I think I'd still go Sarr.
The other thing with Gordon is you have got the Barnes threat there. Barnes also scored again tonight. I don't get me wrong, Gordon is first choice, but you've always got the potential of an early sub. Whereas Sarr just seems to play 90 minutes week in, week out. He's an absolute machine. So, there's pros and cons for both.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a shame we don't get points for Anthony winning the penalty and taking the penalty, because we do know he loves to win a penalty as well. So
he does.
Yeah,
he looks good. No, Anthony, 4 goals.
Yeah, no. What, Jaden Anthony?
Yeah, the other Anthony.
Yeah, Jaden Anthony does. I mean, surely he's not anywhere near your team.
He would be if I was going free up top. I did think about an Isak, Gyökeres, and Haaland draft, and that would mean with the bench boost having Anthony as the fifth midfielder. He'd be the pick, I think, for game week 8, given this Leeds at home. Yeah. But I don't think I'm going to go down that route. So he's not currently in the thinking. But I mean, what a start to the season he's had. As many goals as Semenyo.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's just the fact he plays for Burnley, isn't it? That's literally the only thing. But if you're bench boosting in 8, like I'm thinking about doing, it's not a bad shout.
The player I really like on this list, Andy, and he could well make my team, is Jeremy Doku.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, he's looked like he's taken that step up this year, doesn't he? In terms of decision making, Pep even came out and said it, didn't he? So, yeah, with their fixtures, I mean, the thing is, can you stomach it if he doesn't play?
Well, no, is the short answer. as soon as Marmoush starts taking minutes off him and starts, he becomes a problem. But, I mean, Pep has specifically spoken about the fact Doku thrives against a low block team. Yeah. And if you look at the next 2 fixtures for Man City, Brentford away and Everton at home, I think they are tailor-made for Doku to try and get space. And he looks like he can actually assist Haaland now, which he hasn't done for years of Haaland being in the league. It wasn't something that it's just everything about him, his decision making, his threat, his assist potential. It's all really, really high. What you don't get from him is any real goal threat at all. So you're reliant on assists, a bit like you are with Grealish. But the difference is he's got Haaland in the box and not Beto.
Yeah, exactly.
No disrespect to Beto.
The other differences as well, and this is what I keep thinking at the moment, and I do apologise, but if you're thinking about getting him in, he's going to start doing badly.
The thing is, you're not stuck with him forever, though, right? And what I like about him, and maybe you have a very different view, is that I look at Reinders. Reinders is in 57th on this list in terms of XG non-penalty per 90, 0.22. That is low. His role in the team changes week on week. We don't know whether he's deep lying. We don't know whether he's going to be playing advanced. We know he's probably going to play 90, which is a big, big, big thing for him. And I think he takes some set pieces as well, doesn't he? Like, he's got a lot of things going well for him. But am I crazy for going for Doku over Reinders?
No, I don't think so. It's just the price point of Reinders, isn't it? 5.8. I don't hate the Doku pick at all. I think the Doku pick's good. Like, the data kind of suggests it's good as well. I would just worry that he is a position where he can potentially, come out of the team, and he is a position where all of a sudden you can look at it and go, oh, he's not playing. Whereas I just think Reinders is pretty nailed in this team and gets 90 all the time. And it's hard. If it was me, I think I would swerve the defence and I would maybe go for Reinders, Doku in Haaland. But this week would have been the week, I guess. But maybe you're a week late. I'm not sure. But
you can quite easily go from Doku to Reinders. That's never going to be more than one transfer away from you. So I'm thinking after these 2 weeks, if Marmoush comes in for that third game, maybe that's the go. It's been fun, but now we can take it. But I can see Doku kicking on and becoming invaluable to that side from Pep's comments and things. It's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard for Marmoush to come straight back into that side and take that left wing spot completely from him.
Yeah, maybe. I think Marmoush will still come in. Personally, I think he will, and obviously, even if he just eats into the minutes, that's not great. But I think the whole idea would be that Marmoush comes in eventually.
Foda's down in 51st for those considering him. If I'd wildcarded last week, I 100% would have picked Foden. 0.23 in terms of XG non-penalty per 90. He's very unlucky not to get that goal. Against Burnley. It obviously came off a Stev, but it was very close to coming off Foden. I wouldn't be panicking if I had him. I think he's got that nailed down. Shirky coming in might affect his minutes, but I think for now Foden's fun. He's just a lot more money than Reinders and Doku, so he's not really in my thoughts at the moment. Forwards then over the season, this is where we see Haaland at 1.46 xGI per 90. I can't recall seeing anyone higher than that after 6 weeks. I think that's got to be the highest. He could have had more points, which is ridiculous. We say it every week. 5 shots a game is like double any other forward in the league. Decent conversion, 28%. His XG per shot is really high in the top 5, 0.27. He's getting chances. They're good chances. He's having loads of shots. He's doing everything you could possibly want. I guess the only option is who do you pair with him? And you look at some of this list, and it's a bit of a Welbeck, Wood, Beto, Ekitike, Calvert-Lewin, Sesko. You know, you're looking at Mateta, like you mentioned. You're looking at Joao Pedro. I mean, what do you think of Watkins? Is he someone you consider again now? Burnley at home? Should I be thinking of him on a wild card?
I think he's far too much. Like at 8.7 for what we're getting from him. I mean, yes, off the mark last week. They scored 3 goals, which is obviously quite nice because we were wondering whether they could even score. But I think 8.7 for someone like that at the moment, I think is probably too much. Interestingly, though, looking down this list, Voltemada, I think you have to start considering because the minutes are basically nailed at the moment and they seem to love him. Whether he can score more than one a game, I'm not sure of at the moment.
My worry with him is obviously Visser coming back.
Yeah.
And the fact even without Visser there, he's still coming off around the 65, 70 mark, pretty much every game.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're just acclimatising him to it, but I don't mind the look of him, and obviously with the fixtures. Thiago obviously got 2 goals against us. He's got 4 goals now for the season. It's 6 million, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, you could say that the goals were gifted against us, which at least one of them was. The Bayindir one that just palmed it back to him was ridiculous. But the one I wanted to ask you about was 5.5 million here, 7th on the list, Calvert-Lewin. Is Calvert-Lewin becoming an FPL option again?
He's in my team,
5.5 million. No, he's not.
He's in my wildcard team.
Oh, my God.
Because I think if
he's
you're
7th on the list.
If you're wildcarding and bench boosting in 8 with a third cheap striker, you've got 3 options. You've got Lyle Foster, who is statistically the worst forward of all forwards, down at the bottom, 21st at 0.19. You've got Thiago, who I think looks really good. And Luke tipped him at the start of the season. Fair play to him. Didn't go with him, obviously, because Luke never goes with the players he recommends. But,
no.
On pens playing for Brentford. But the fixtures are so rough for Brentford. Other than game week 8, when they play West Ham, I can't find any other week I'm going to play him.
Yeah.
Whereas Calvert-Lewin gives me two benefits, right? One is I can bench boost with him in 8 against Burnley, which I like. And 2, I can actually bring him in for a game. I think they're playing Wolves when Sarr plays Arsenal away.
Yeah.
So he actually has a bit of use.
Oh dear, that's the first time in a while.
I thought he was bloody incredible against Bournemouth. He did in that game what he did against us being Brighton, when he won everything. He won absolutely. He can't score. Don't get me wrong. He's not a goal scorer, but bloody hell was he? He puts himself about. You can see why he's preferred over like Perot and Bamford, because he's a menace. He's an absolute menace. So if I can get 1 goal from him in those 2 matches, I'm going to take that.
The DCL has better XGI than Gyökeres and Pedro, to be fair, says Moondog. And J77 Lag says, so this is the Achilles heel of Az's wildcard.
Well, he's a bench boost player and he's a 1 week punt against Wolves.
Do you know the thing I don't like about it? The thing I don't like about Calvert-Lewin is that he's 5.5 million. So after your bench boost, you've got a 5.5 million player that you're going to bench every week.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That genuinely, I don't like it. I would much prefer to have that third striker spot and then have one of a myriad of midfielders for under 6 million that you could play most weeks. Whereas I think Calvert-Lewin at 5.5 is probably too much to put on your bench every week after that. That's the only thing I'd say.
But if you're bench boosting in 8, you've got to have someone that plays. So you're either having, this is what I mean, you're either having
you
Foster,
do 3 up front.
Or you do 3 up front, yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. Because actually, I think otherwise you go Thiago and you play him every week kind of thing. Whereas I don't think you can play Calvert-Lewin every week. But
that is one of the advantages you could argue of having Enzo over Pedro. If you're saying they're about the same and the value's about the same, it means you can have a playing striker. Okay, it's unfortunate the playing striker is Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other option is I do Calvert-Lewin to Thiago, then do Van de Ven down to a 4 million. Like another Sunderland, play double Sunderland defence in Gameweek 8, for example. But I like having Van de Ven as that person who can come in if and when I need him. I'll show you the team in a minute.
Calvert-Lewin. You're going to look at this in like 3-4 weeks' time.
I know.
When you're 8 million overall rank and go, where did it go wrong?
He's not a starter.
DCL.
He's not a starter.
I'll say DCL.
When he scores a hat-trick in Gameweek 8 against all the Dubravka and Estev owners, then you'll all come crying to me.
Yes.
Predictions. Let's do our predictions for this week. Let's rattle through these. Bang on. What have I done? This is the wrong week. Hang on, Andy. I'm going to sort that. You talk through the prediction standings.
Okay. Well, the prediction standings...
I've chucked you a horrible bone, haven't I? Because you're a bit delayed on YouTube.
I am, just a little bit, but it's okay. I've got it now. So at the moment, the prediction standings, I mean, Richard Morris doesn't even need to give in all the predictions. He's given him one less than everybody else at the top there, and he is at the top at the moment with 48 points. So he's absolutely killing it, considering he is one less predicted compared to everybody else. Doy is in second. Mercurial Squid, still my favourite name, is on 43 points as well. Actor Jeff on 42 and Tom G. And then Az has caught me up, and so has Hesmo. And Hesmo has come down with us. We're all on 37 with Jobalob. And then we've got Lee, Steve Hurst, Keza, Ryko. Luke is catching us up on 34. And then that famous Jimmy is in 34 as well. So not bad scoring at the moment. But can anybody catch Richard Morris on 48? 15% correct score. That is some good going.
15% correct scores is incredible. I fixed this now. Sorry about that. Good stalling, Andy.
Worries.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Let's fly through these. Bournemouth, Fulham, both gone for the same result here. We've gone quite similar across a lot of these, actually. It looks like a week that's easy to predict, which it never is. Bournemouth, Fulham, I've gone for a 2-1. So have you. Friday night game. Semenyo, Senesi.
Yeah.
Should be all right.
Yeah, I've gone 2-1. I mean, this could easily be a Bournemouth clean sheet as well, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, Fulham were down to bare bones, weren't they, with Muniz and Jimenez not in the team? Really struggled.
Yeah, it's there's a 4.5 million striker that could play up top, isn't there?
Yeah.
For Fulham, I can't remember what his name is now, but they are down to bare bones.
Yep. Leeds Spurs both gone for a draw. Is this the Ellen Road effect?
I think so. Like I said, I always back them to get some kind of result at home. So yeah, I've gone 1-1 here.
Yep. Arsenal, West Ham, big game for lots of us. I'm hoping for a big score. You're hoping for just a clean sheet, really. Interesting. I don't like if Arsenal if Arsenal lose their clean sheet, I'm going to have very mixed feelings because I'll be happy that you've lost yours, who's my main rival this year, but also I've now got their defender, so it feels a bit off. Yeah. But I've gone for a 2-0. You've gone for a 3.
Yeah, This was the big game last year, wasn't it? Where Saka absolutely hauled, and I think they won 5-0, was it? So, I'm expecting big things in this game from Arsenal.
Any temptation for a Gyökeres captain in this one over Haaland?
No, none at all.
United Sunderland, you'll be at this game. Both gone for a 2-1.
I will be at this game, and I've gone 2-1 out of hope. But I think 1-1's more realistic.
That's 2-1 to Manchester United, of course. Chelsea, Liverpool, both gone for the same here. Both gone for a 1-1.
Yeah, no, fancy 1-1 actually. Yeah.
Maybe Chelsea can keep themselves to 10 to 11 men this time and give themselves a better chance. Aston Villa, but look, we've gone really similar again. 2-0 Aston Villa, both of us. I'm jealous of the people that have kept Watkins because I think this is a really, really good fixture for him. Kind of got that monkey off his back, monkey off his shoulder now. So hopefully he can get back to scoring ways.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, both gone 2-0. Burnley, obviously away from home, hard to back with them, isn't it?
I wouldn't be getting Watkins on the wildcard basis just for one game. Everton Palace, one of the few ones we have gone different on. I've gone for a 1-0 Palace. You've gone for a 1-0. I was really disappointed with Everton. I thought they were pretty rubbish against West Ham.
Really? I thought for the first 20, 30 minutes, I was like, who's this Everton? Like they were pinging it about the
Oh
pitch. I
yeah,
thought they
but
looked
then
quite
West
good,
Ham
but
grew into it, and
yeah.
I don't know. The crowd felt very flat. Got that
Well,
huge
yeah.
stadium.
I was about to say Goodison then, but yeah.
You could hear the West Ham fans singing at multiple points of that game. It was a bit weird.
It's so hard to bet against Crystal Palace, but I've gone 1-1 because it's away from home at Everton. So yeah, I think that's okay. But I can see what you mean by the Palace win.
Yep. Newcastle Forest. I've gone for a 2-1 to Newcastle. As have you. God, Forest have got to start picking up some points, but I can't see them getting it at St James's Park.
No, I just can't see them adjusting to Ange's way quickly enough at the moment, basically. So, yeah, at the moment, I'm pretty much tipping Forest to lose most games.
Yep, same. Wolves, Brighton, exactly the sort of game we'll lose.
Yep.
Which is why you've gone for a Wolves win. I'm going to back a Brighton win in this one, 2-1. Yeah. I thought we did really, really well against Chelsea. As soon as they went down to 10 men, I was confident we were going to get that win, and Welbeck was superb off the bench. Luckily, Yells was out, so we didn't have to endure watching that together, but we just need to break down these teams and score goals, and we struggle. So, yeah tough one. And then finally, Brentford versus Man City. You have gone for a 3-1 to Man City. I've gone for a 2-1. Brentford have been good at home. Got the win between their sails now, but I think City are a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, it could easily be just the 2 goals, but I've backed them to score a few. So,
yep. Captains. Whoa, what is this screen? Oh, do you know what? That's why it's there. Look, that's the right one. That's because I saved the captaincy under the wrong thing. Hang on, I can fix that. This is the captain matrix. That is the right one. I've revamped this just to have a look at who we're going to be captaining over the next few weeks. Obviously, we've got Haaland in 7 against Brentford and Everton, Bournemouth in 10. But around that, I mean, Haaland does have some trickier games. Aston Villa in 9, Liverpool in 11, Newcastle in 12. If Parma's a factor for us, again, Sunderland in 9, Wolves at home in 11, Burnley away in 12. I don't think he will be a factor for us, but he might be. Gyökeres has good fixtures in 10 and 11 as well. Burnley, Sunderland, I think he's going to be considered. But yeah, what do you reckon about 9, 11 and 12? Would you be going against Haaland in those games or sticking with him?
I don't really think there's anybody else you can go with. I mean,
No,
Haaland, even Haaland against Liverpool, with the way City are playing and the way Liverpool are playing, there's nothing to say that City aren't going to score a couple past Liverpool. So looking at those next 6, I think majority of it's just going to be Haaland, isn't it?
Easy default pick.
Yeah.
And even if you've got Salah, I mean, maybe Salah in 8, but then Haaland's got Everton, I don't know, in 9. Away at Brentford, there isn't a clear, obvious. Even if you've got both, I think you still pick Haaland's. It's hard to know when you would captain Salah basically in the next 6 games when you've got Haaland there. Maybe against Forest at home as opposed to Newcastle. I fixed the captain talk. I don't know why I've called this game week predictions. That's really weird. Anyway, this is the captain chart for this week. I've got Haaland, Semenyo, Pedro, Salah, Fernandes, Gyökeres, and Watkins. No surprise to see Haaland right at the top. They're the best attack in the league, as we covered earlier. Brentford's defence is 12th, so kind of in the bottom 10, which is fine. If you have still got Watkins, they are playing statistically the worst defence in the league. But I think this is all a moot point because unless your name is Mark Bagetigan and your alias is FPL General, you're going to be captaining Haaland. Maybe we'll see some Gyökeres punts, but I don't know.
Who's Mark Bagetigan?
General.
Mark McGettigan.
Mark
McGettigan. Begin again.
McGonagall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you own Haaland, you go in Haaland. I don't think this is the week to go any different.
Yep. Rob T agrees. You can see here Man City 2 goals is in the top 3. You've got Arsenal actually more predicted goals at 2.56. Interesting, Man United at 2.08, which I think does surprise me a little bit, but not a huge amount between us. I mean, Arsenal are the highest on this, so
yeah,
I guess you could make the case, but it's just that involvement, isn't it, that Haaland's got across the goals?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
more likely to get something from that. Still, some pretty big scores. I mean, Newcastle 1.84, which is high. Bournemouth 1.63. He's back in goals this week in the spread market odds. Looking at win draw loss, Arsenal 80% to beat West Ham.
Yeah.
Aston Villa 63%, Man United 66%, Brentford at 59%. And in terms of teams to target, In terms of goals and clean sheets, Arsenal feature highest. So that is why you're seeing this clamour for the Arsenal picks. Wildcard time. So this is the wildcard I've currently got at the moment. Like I said, I don't think there's a huge amount of changes here. This is the one with Sarr and Doku. So this is Pope, Lacroix, Gabriel, Senesi, Enzo, Saka, Semenyo, Sarr, Doku, Haaland, Gyökeres, and a bench of Dubravka, my new favourite forward in the league, Calvert-Lewin, Van de Ven, and Alderete, and that is 0.0 million in the bank. No Bruno Fernandes, FPL Zeitgol says. It's pretty much locked. The only changes I might make are Sarr and Doku versus Gordon and Reinders.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same price for my selling value.
I like the team. I genuinely, I quite like it. Yeah, I think backing against Pedro and going with Enzo Fernandez on wildcard is fine. I think Saka's an interesting one because obviously you've gone with Pope, so you've got Saka in there. I don't mind the fact that you've got that Saka price point. I think that's quite nice as well. You know, when Palmer's back, you can move to him a bit more easily if that's what you want to do, or unless you want to keep Saka, whatever it is. So actually, I don't mind the team that much. It's just, like I said, the only thing I would say is, and obviously it's because you've gone cheaper with your third striker, is that's why your midfield looks a little bit healthier, I would say. So you haven't got like a Stack or a KDH or something like that in there. Not that you would have KDH, it's obviously suspended, but I think that's why it maybe looks a bit healthier. But to be honest, we've seen it. Midfielders seem to be the value at the moment, especially those cheaper ones. So I think this is a good team. Personally.
Wow, I think that is the only time we've ever done a stream where you've complimented my wildcard.
Yeah, no, I genuinely, I think it looks good. I think the interesting one as well, I was going to say, obviously you've got no Anderson, but the rest of it, I think it's pretty good. I think Van de Ven, I know I've got Van de Ven, that's because I was thinking of bench boosting in Gameweek. Have you got bench boost on your mind at all?
Yeah, Nate. So the bench boost would be Dubravka, Calvert-Lewin,
so that's why
Van
you've
de
got
Ven,
Van de Ven
and Alderete.
Yeah, so it's the same as me. So I picked Van de Ven in Game Week 8 because they've got the nice fixture of Aston Villa at home, haven't they? So we were thinking that was a nice fixture. It could turn out that Villa are bang in form again by then. But no, I think this is a good team.
A few people are saying Gabriel's coming off with a bit of an injury.
Yeah, I was just going to have a quick look for that for you, mate.
That would be interesting. If that happened, I'd go Timber. So that frees up a little bit more.
I mean, he did come off injured according to SofaScore. So
okay, interesting. That could be one boost against the wildcards, but hopefully he's okay. Just quickly, what do you reckon? Sarr and Doku versus Gordon and Reinders. Which way would you go?
Could you say that again? I was just checking on Gabriel.
Sarr and Doku, or Gordon and Reinders.
I think I'd go Sarr and Doku.
Sarr and Doku. Should have paid you a super chat.
I think I would. Yeah.
Lovely. Of course, we named the stream after Gabriel, as Marjestic says, Saint Gabriel.
Yeah.
Just why?
Oh God.
Yeah, sorry, we jinxed him. Your team, talk us through it.
Yes, so I got Raya in goal, Gabriel as well, who obviously I thought, that'd be quite nice. Senesi and Tarkowski, all with home fixtures at the back there. Then I got Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders and Xavi Simons, with Pedro, Gyökeres and Haaland captain up top, with Van de Ven, Stack and Mukiele on the bench. I've got 3 free transfers with, I think, 0.1 in the bank. If there is an issue with Gabriel, then I might have to have a look at what to do there. And obviously, if there's an issue with Pedro, but I don't think there will be. So, yeah, feel like this team's absolutely fine, and I'd be rolling it if it weren't for the fact that, Gabriel could now be injured. But I'll see what happens there. Hopefully, we hear something before Friday, because it's a Friday night deadline, isn't it? So, fingers crossed we hear something.
A few people in the group chat just saying it's a bit of a knock. The muscular ones are the ones you need to worry about. If he's just taking a bit of a knock, he's probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Greg's just said he might be doing this just to avoid going away on international duty as well.
Yep. Only 5 players the same if we stick with the teams we've just shown, which would be nice.
Yes,
I think
we like it.
We had a super chat from Dal. Good to see you again, Dal. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Love the show. Guys, I scored 84 points this week and had a rank rise from 790k to 199k. Is that any good? My best rank is 1.5k a couple of years ago. I love that Dal has paid £5 to boast not only about his superb week, but also his fantastic rank of 1.5k. It's an amazing rise. 790k to 200k. We can only dream, Dal, of being in the lofty heights of 200k.
No, you're on your wild card this week. I used mine last week. We'll both be in the top 200k after this week. We'll be fine.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you very much for the super chat, Dal. We really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully you get another green arrow this week as well. Andy, absolute pleasure. Thank you as always. I'm not sure I've been on my best form tonight. I've been feeling a little bit ropey, but I thought it was quite a good chat as always with you.
You've been absolutely on form, mate. Fair play to you for doing this when you're ill. The commitment is second to none.
Stop it. I don't know why you're being nice to me after the disaster that was Friday when I didn't even send you the right screens. So
I know you did just a couple minutes into the stream.
Well, I did the screens. They just didn't sync on Dropbox, and then we were getting errors like, oh, it's you've gone over your limit and all that stuff. It's been a bloody nightmare. But Yelena was on hand and helped you out, so all was
exactly
good in the end. Thank you to everyone watching as always. If you could like the stream, we'd really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. If you're listening on the pod, do us a review. We'd really appreciate that as well. Keep our 5-star rating going, hopefully. And best of luck to everyone in Game Week 7. It's an international break next week, so we won't be around. But Andy, I think it's you and I. Is it you and I or is it me and Luke? Some of us will be back after the international break.
Yes. Lovely stuff. Yes. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.